potential to, I suppose. I can see playing 1 or 2 of the red-green land, but regardless, chose not to. And he's made it all the way here, so can't fault him for his choice.
Scott's like, rule, we have a dice on the floor. What's the ruling?
There's actually, at a Pro Tour Philly, there's actually quite a few convoluted dice rulings going on. When you drop a dice, do you leave it? Do you reroll both?
Yeah,
do you just reroll one dice?
It was what, Martin and...
Martin and Paul Reitzel, I believe.
Yeah, Martin and Paul Reitzel.
Yeah. I mean, so what do you think should happen if you roll a dice on the floor? Should you reroll both dice or just the dice that you dropped?
Whichever one gives me more value. No, in a situation like that, I think if there's any time there's a dice dispute, both players re-roll and you just start it over again. Like if there's this big dispute, if it causes a judge call, like it's just a dice roll. It's some way to randomize. So when people start like arguing before the games even start, like just take a step back, figure out a system, figure out the rules, and roll it. It takes a minute.
I mean, I can agree when no one's really like determined anything yet, but if one person wins the dice roll and something happens that could take away that dice roll, I mean, that's huge.
What do you mean when somebody already won the dice roll? Because we don't know, we're disputing it.
I mean, but say like someone rolls a high-ish number, and the other person rolls something that would lose to it, but then they're like, well, do you reroll both dice, reroll one dice? Like, it gives them a higher chance of beating you in the dice roll.
Yeah, but you're arguing over a dice roll.
Or like, here's a very interesting question. So I was sitting next to Paul Jordan at a side event, and they both rolled the dice, chose to go first, got deck checked. When their decks came back, they both thought they'd won the dice roll.
That's interesting.
So what do you do there?
You just re-roll. If both players 100% think they won the dice roll.
So then there's a Mountain Grim Lobmaster for David Doberne. But then, couldn't you run that every time and just try and get a re-roll at winning the dice roll?
Well, if you want a shitty life, like if you're trying to cheat your opponent, yeah, you can always run the cheats if you want to do that, but that's a terrible way to live your life.
And there's Stormkirk Noble for Scott Tompkins.
Protection from Grim Lobmancer, right?
Protection from, Lobmancer is a human.
Yeah.
But not protection, it can still be burned out, though.
Why?
It just says, it can't be blocked by humans?
No, protection from humans. I thought it was protection from humans.
It might be protection from humans. I'm going to look it up. I thought it just couldn't be blocked by humans, but it might be the full-on protection. Strong Kirk Noble. Yeah, it just can't be blocked by humans.
Oh, it just can't be blocked?
Yeah.
It doesn't have protection from humans?
Nope, just can't be blocked by humans.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep, so it can still be burned out by Lobmancer, which is quite often all that matters.
Oh, he didn't block the Lobmancer?
But David serves in. Scott opts to not block. Here comes 3-3.
Yeah, I mean, this is like an M12 rule of thumb. If your opponent attacks you with a better creature than you have in play, I guess he can't, like, block with the Grim Lobster, so you always attack with it, but, like, with the Bloodthirst guys in this format, you don't want to have to deal with them. I think blocking there is a great place.
So Scott opts to not attack with his Noble there. Isn't the Stormblood Berserker a human? So couldn't he have just snuck past? He's not blocking with that guy, right?
Is he a human? I don't even know if it's a human.
I'm pretty sure Stormblood... I mean, everything logical tells me he's a human, but I'll double check.
I mean, wouldn't he just be a Berserker?
Oh, but they have races and classes. Stormblood... Yeah, human Berserker.
Human Berserker?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he should have. Well, David swings in for 5 damage, puts Scott down to 14. It's looking real bad. Yeah, I think he would have attacked there.
I mean, I don't know how much it's going to matter, but at least put it up to 3 so he could double block, or... Yeah, I guess he'd get crushed by Grim Lobmancer, or any of a million burn spells. I mean, Scott Tompkins' board not looking so wonderful. 2 Stormkirk Nobles that are 1/1s and 3 lands versus 3/3 Stormblood Berserker, Grim Lobmancer, Chandra's Phoenix. It's kind of a rough board position. Tap some Mountain, and that's going to... Gut shot away the Grim Lobmancer. Okay, there's the start of dismantling the position.
Alright, 2 damage, 2 counters.
And taps 2. There's Stormblood Berserker for Scott Tompkins. So now Scott's got a little bit going on. He's got 2/2/2 Stormkirk Nobles and a Berserker, which I believe should be a 3/3.
Right. Does David have the Koth? That's the big question.
Well, certainly a question. He's got a hand stocked full of cards. Could have any number of problematic cards for Scott Tompkins, but Koth would certainly be high on that list. All right, well, just serves in for 5 points.
Scott goes to 9. All right.
There's Shrine of Burning Rage for David.
Yeah, Shrine comes down.
And another Berserker. Things are getting berserk. All right, so and that kicks up that Shrine, right? So Shrine will be on 2 counters on David's next turn. So Scott really has to be careful he doesn't accidentally die.
Yeah, there's not much. I mean, I don't know where Scott, how he gets out of this. Like, I guess if he has one removal spell, one burn spell, and if David doesn't have anything, he can get himself out of this. But other than that,
let's see. Scott's board 2 Nobles and a 3/3 Berserker versus 2 3/3 Berserkers and a Chandra's Phoenix. Mono red in the finals of the Star City Games Open Series here in Indianapolis. First a big event with Innistrad. 2 mono red decks found themselves playing for the trophy. And all those open points qualify you for the Invitational. Come out and play in Roanoke at the end of the year. Or sorry, not Roanoke, Charlotte. Charlotte at the end of the year.
Can't wait for that event. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, the Invitational's tons of money given away, and it's just a lot of fun.
I have to play Legacy there, don't I?
You do have to play Legacy.
Ugh.
But no mental misstep now. You'll get a primer to how great the forum's going to look later today.
I need a coach. I was learning it with mental misstep, and I was really understanding it. Now the mental missteps are gone. It's back to the Wild West of the things I didn't understand.
So Noble gets in. Just one of the Nobles. Brings up 2 3/3.
He's going to want to double block a Berserker.
Chandra's Phoenix comes down and will threaten to block David's Chandra's Phoenix. Now, but that Shrine of Burning Rage slightly off camera kicks up 2 counters. Don't forget. Remember the Shrine of Burning Rage. Let's see.
All right, just tanking, trying to figure out the decisions. I wonder what's in his hand to run it. It'd be fun to run it through in my head too. But just on board, if he attacks with everything, Scott's going to block as many creatures as possible.
So it seems like a bunch of trading happens.
Just think about this. David would be at 13 life, and Scott would have a 4/4 instead of a 3/3 right now if he just attacked that one time.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite a significant difference.
Well, not attacking with Chandra's Phoenix.
Alright, so serves in with both the Berserkers, going to try and force some awkward blocks out of Scott Tompkins. See how he chooses to block. He also has to worry, does David have removal spells? He's trying to get me here, 2 for 1. Any card advantage you can get is rough.
I mean, so yeah, like, the block that makes the most sense to me is just a triple block. Yeah, I like triple block there. This shuts Incinerate off from 2 for 1-ing him.
Taps 3. There's a Brimstone Volley.
Yeah. Or Brimstone Volley. Yeah, if you just put the Chandra's Phoenix in there as well, then at least the Berserker would have died. So.
All right, and now the combat should finish up. Assuming David has no other tricks to play. David doesn't have any 1-mana burn spells, so. Yep. All right. And the Noble goes down. And now David just passes the turn. Those 2 Stormblood Berserkers just threatening to do so much damage.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to double block all those guys, and it can be a mess to deal with. Five lands for Scott Tompkins. Board position favors David pretty heavily, but we'll see if Scott can pull his way out of this.
Yeah, it looks really rough for
Keep in mind there is a shrine slightly off screen too.
Yeah, David has a shrine ticking up. It's at 3 counters right now.
Attacks. So Scott attacks with his noble.
He's not afraid.
Never afraid. No one expects the noble. Or the Nobel, as it says on Scott's list. Did you manage to catch a glimpse of what's in Scott's hand?
He's very protective.
Alright, there's a Shrine of Burning Rage. And then, is that a Berserker?
Yeah, another Berserker.
Both players wielding the full-out Berserkers. No strangers to the red archetype. Neither are going to want their Berserkers.
He's dead on board, though.
Wielding them. Yeah, I mean, I think that's...
Yeah, that's game.
That's pretty easily lethal, right?
Scott's dead on board.
Kick up your Shrine of Burning Rage. I mean, one of those Berserkers is going to get through. And then that Shrine should be lethal. David just double checks, make sure he's not missing something patently obvious, and Scott's going to double block, take 5, and then David's going to just volley him out, and that's that. David Doberne takes the first game of the finals. Whew. Some mono-red action all the way around.
Yeah, they're going to be sideboarding, and while they're sideboarding, we have, what do we have to give away?
A whole year of StarCityGames.com premium.
It's 2011 now?
It is 2011 right now.
They'll almost have it till 2013? Close. Couple months short.
2012. So, I mean, it's, you know, even if the world ends at the end of 2012, you still get your full year out of your premium. So you don't have to worry about it.
Great, yeah.
I mean, it's
and
like,
if the world ends, we will redeem whatever's left.
I mean, but yeah, it'll run out by then.
Oh, it will? Well, I mean, when's the world supposed to end? At the end of 2012?
I thought it was at the end of 2012.
I have no clue.
Well, we pondered
December.
Yeah, December 2012. Yeah. So while we ponder that important question, time to give away a whole year of Star City Games premium. So the way this is going to work, if you haven't been following along, and if you're watching this live, do not recommend trying this if you're watching this as a replay. I'm going to ask a question. There's this hashtag in the bottom left of the screen, SCG Premium. On Twitter, Brad's pointing to it right now. On Twitter, you're going to reply to it, you're just going to include it in your tweet that answers the question. And if you will choose one person out of all the people who answered the questions correctly,
yeah,
and that person will win a whole year of StarCityGames.com premium.
Whole year.
All right, so this is the question. As we wrap up the Standard Open, this is what we want to talk about. There is a card featured in there's a card featured. I was trying to think of how the word is. Okay, so there's a card featured from Innistrad in all of the blue decks in the top 8. Which card is it?
I know the answer.
Tell us, and you could win a year of StarCityGames.com premium. And if you win it, you could be quickly reading articles. People like Brad Nelson, this man right here, Player of the Year, Brad Nelson, Player of the Year, whole year, whole year 2012.
Even a little bit of 2011 too.
Yeah,
there we go. We had to go fight in Paris and stuff. I'm still dealing with that.
Or I guess
come February.
Or, sorry, Player of the whole year in 2011, right?
No, I was 2010 Player of the Year.
2010 Player of the Year.
Yeah,
yeah, a little bit 2000.
It's gonna be Luis Scott Vargas this year.
It should be an interesting Player of the Year race.
It's a great race here right now. Yeah, Owen and Luis are both going to a bunch of events. They decided to go to a bunch of GPs now, just to try to win Player of the Year. It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Let's see. What do we think sideboarding?
What do we think sideboarding?
Sideboarding for these guys.
Well, I mean, I think both of them will bring in Volshock Refugee. I think that's a good call.
Seems all right.
Yeah, it seems fine.
Refugee is a really interesting card. I love Volshock Refugee.
Yeah.
I think it's sweet that they made it, and that both of them have 4 copies.
Heroes are probably going to come out. Hero seems like a really bad card in the mirror match. I don't know how good Stormkirk Noble is in the mirror either. Probably seems fine. But I think you take out some of your creatures and you keep in a lot of your burn. I think the burn is just a little bit more important.
I mean, the ability to control creatures seems huge.
Yeah, especially and turn on your Chandra's Phoenixes.
Right.
So you have this like inevitable creature coming back. You want that to happen more often than not, because creatures are dying all the time, but that card comes back. So heroes, Furnace Scamps, Stormkirk Nobles, they just all seem very weak. All right, let's see if David can pull it out. I mean, I do really like David's list actually. Like for personal reasons, I like his numbers. Goblin Arsonist is a little interesting. that one maybe is, kind of crazy, but
It seems interesting. I mean,
it was. I mean, he must have been very prepared for his Phantom matchup.
yeah. I mean, I was gonna say like he knew he wasn't gonna lose the illusions deck. I mean, I'm trying to think. It seems okay in the mirror match. It is not a human. Blocks the noble.
Mm-hmm.
But in all the control matchups, it seems so lackluster.
Yeah. But he wants to play a lot of 1-drops. Then he just has more ways to trigger his Stormblood Berserkers.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like if he had maxed out on 1-drops, Arsonist might be an okay place to look. But the fact that he's only playing 3 Grim Lavamancer, 2 Spike Shot Elder.
No, but I do like that. I would much rather have a Grim Lavamancer and a Goblin Arsonist than 2 Grim Lavamancers. Same as I would rather have a Spike Shot Elder and a Grim Arsonist than 2 Spike Shot Elders. It just splits them up. You have more things you get to do. Maybe the 1 damage is pretty relevant. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting addition. I'll be interested. It should be exciting to see if that's an inclusion that maybe keeps up, or people just kind of cut that and move on. Because I think it is a pretty neat little M12 card that hasn't seen much constructed play before. I think he kind of has it in the Furnace Scamp spot. I think Scamp is probably better if you're trying to straight up burn your opponent out, but maybe David wanted a card with a little more play.
Mm-hmm. When David doesn't smile and he's had his very serious look, he reminded me of 2009 Tom Ross.
I can see it.
You can see it a little?
I can see it a little, yeah.
But not when he smiles, because Tom only smirks.
All right, David picks up his hand.
All right, he did bring in his Perilous Mirrors.
Yeah, Mirror seems pretty important for beating Volshock Refugee.
Yeah, having answers to that is important.
I mean, just Block Stormcrook Noble.
Yeah, Perilous Mirror, Sword of War and Peace, Volshock Refugee are all cards that are coming that are probably very great in this matchup.
And speaking of Refugee, I see a Refugee staring out from David Doberne's hand.
Yeah, look at how these games, both players had 1-drops last game. This game, none, because they're probably shaved a couple of them, and they know they're sitting down for a mono-red matchup that they take a while. No Shrine for Scott, though. You said Scott had a Refugee?
Yeah. No, David has a Refugee in his hand.
Scott just 1, 2, 3 passes. That's very interesting. Because, wow, David missed on his land drops, and he's sitting on so many great spells. He's got Koth, he's got Refugee, and he's going to have to just lead with an Arsonist.
It's Lone Arsonist holding the fort.
Alright, it gets gut-shotted. 1 damage to Scott, First Blood.
Let's see. 4 lands for Scott Tompkins, 2 for David. David drips his 3rd land here, though. Here comes a Refugee. Alright, and that guy's going to start beating in. Scott needs to find an answer. Taps 1. And, yep, dismembers down the Refugee. And down comes Rootbound Crag.
Passes. Scott's drawing a bunch of lands. David hits his mountain. Here's a Koth, and that is just that's almost game. I mean, Scott's flooding a little bit. He's gonna have to use multiple spells to deal with the Koth.
Yeah, he's gonna have 2 for 1 himself to deal with it.
And this is gonna deal 4 damage.
All right, yeah, that mountain's gonna serve in. Good old mountain.
What life total is that Scott at? He should be at what? 15.
Well, let's see. He used 4 for the dismember.
And 1 Arsonist dealt 1.
An Arsonist dealt 1.
And now this will drop him to 11.
Looks like the spirit of Zendikar lives on with those mountains in David Doberne's hands.
They're my favorite mountain.
The Arkslogger mountain.
It's the Arkslogger mountain?
That's what it always looks like to me. Got the big arc. And there's a Volshock Refugee.
All right, well, that's at least going to be able to block those mountains.
And that, yeah, it does make them red mountains, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Remember that from testing for the Pro Tour.
Let's see.
And just to be safe, he's just going to play a Berserker, just for a blocker in case he needs it. 11 life is something not to, mess around with. All right, do we have the sword? Oh, we don't have the sword. Because if David drew a sword, he would have been able to get through.
And down comes...
Perilous Mirror. And one of the mountains untapped is a 4/4.
Alright.
It just says go.
Ships the turn. Volshock Refugee. Doing a good job holding the fort, but that Perilous Mirror will put an end to it if and when it attacks. 3-2, make sure the Perilous Mirror can
Well, I
take
mean,
that down.
Scott's really in a tough spot. Koth goes ultimate this turn, and the game will be over if that happens. And
Yeah, I mean, you have to use Burn to keep it down if you have it.
yeah, he has to have Burn to keep it down. And David still has 4 cards in hand, so it's been a long time since I've ultimated a Koth, but oh, it's so much fun. Have you ever done it in limited?
I have not. I've only seen it done unlimited, and
Yeah.
it looks like a lot of fun.
I did in limited, only had 3 mountains at the time, but it was still great. All right, Arc Trail is going to 1 to the Perilous Mirror, 2 to Koth. Scott taps 3 mana. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I didn't like that. Scott just Brimstone volleyed the Koth when he could have just Arc Trailed David for 2 and then Brimstone volleyed the Koth, and the same effect. He just like gave up 2 damage.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
No, yeah, he just sacrificed 2 damage. A little nervous on the camera, I don't know, yeah, but gave away the damage, and now I actually don't know what card.
Alright, so it
Must
looks
have been
like
he
2
arc
Berserkers.
trailed, killed off the Stormkirk Noble, and got his Berserker. What kind of bluff is this? Scott's gonna attack with a 1/1 and do a 3/3. Like,
I mean, I guess.
do you have arc trail? And he takes it? I would not take it.
I mean, that's just prone to kicking up all your other Berserkers or something like that, right?
Yeah, he's just bluffing. It's just a total bluff. I mean, you can win the tournament and call your opponent's bluff. Like, you're getting more value. Incinerate, the game is over. David, how do you say his last name? Doberne?
I was saying Doberne.
Doberne.
Doberne. But
David the
regardless,
Boss Doberne.
Take David the Red Master Man.
The Red Boss.
The Red Boss. Even wearing the red shirt to
Yeah.
match. Takes it down. Congratulations to our Stars of the Games Open Series Standard Champion,